Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about opponent process theory of color vision. Previously in this channel we talked about trichromatic theory and we talked about the limitation of trichromatic theory which failed to explain the opponent process. So what is opponent process and what is opponent process theory of color vision? We are going to discuss this in this video. Let's start. So, opponent process theory of color vision, it generally refers to the psychological or neurological model where systems are controlled by opposing forces. When one system is activated, its opposing system is suppressed. So, the concept behind opponent process theory is that when one system is activated, it opposes the next system. That means it suppresses the next system. It is challenged by the dominant theory of a time, that is trichromatic theory, by suggesting that color perception is not just about mixing three primary colors, but also about the tension between the opposing pairs. So it is not just about the color mixing process, it is also about the tension between opposing pairs, that is between the color perceiving sector. So, if we talk about the origin, it is proposed by Ewald Hering in 1892. This theory explains how eyes and brain perceive color. It posits that our visual system interprets color through three independent channels of opposing pair, and these opposing pair are red versus green, blue versus yellow, and black versus white. As you can see here, the opposing pair of red is green and the opposing pair of blue is yellow and the opposing pair of the black is white. How does opponent process theory work? So when the cones send color signals to the brain, they are received in the area of brain called thalamus. So the thalamus receives sensory input from the sensory organs, then forward those signals to the relevant part of the brain that processes that information. Within thalamus, there is a cluster of brain cells called lateral geniculate nucleus. So these cells are responsible for opposing pairs. So what we need to understand in opponent process theory, like trichromatic theory, it explained that there is three classes of color photoreceptors and it talked about the colors. But here in opponent process theory, it is saying that when cones send color signals to the brain, they are received in area of brain called thalamus. So thalamus receives sensory inputs from the sensory organs, then only they forward those signals to the relevant part of the brain that processes the information. Within the thalamus, there is also a cluster of brain cells that is called lateral geniculate nucleus, and these cells are responsible for opposing pairs. So, how it works, talking about the antagonism, the chemicals in our visual system cannot handle both colors in pure at the same time. So, a neuron that is excited by red is inhibited by the green. As we see, the opposing pairs, that is red is opposing pair of the green. Same way, when a neuron is excited by the black, it is inhibited by the white. So there are some of the impossible colors. That is why we can never see red is green or blue is yellow, because these are the opposing pairs. So the two signal cancel each other out. The after image effect, which is a limitation of trichromatic theory, that it failed to explain the after images. So it is the strongest proof of the theory. So what experiment can be done? If you stare at a bright red square for 30 seconds and then look at a white wall, you will see a green square. Why? Because your red receptor became fatigued, depleted. When you looked at the white light, which contains all colors, your red receptors are too tired, but the opposing green receptors are fresh and fire intensely, and it has a rebound effect. So you can also try it yourself right now. You just stare at this red color and then after staring your at for 30 seconds, you just look at the white if a paper or if your wall is colored white, you can look at there as well and you can see after images of the red. That is, you will see the green image over the white picture. The stage theory, reconciling the two theories. For decades, scientists argued whether trichromatic theory, we have three cones, red, blue, green, or opponent process theory was correct. It turns out both are true, but they happen at different stages of the visual pathway. So there are two detection that is sorry there are two stage theory that is detection and processing. So detection happens in retina and processing happens in the thalamus and ganglion cells. So this detection process is about trichromatic theory and the processing is opponent process theory. In trichromatic theory, there are three types of cone SML that detect red, green, and blue wavelengths, while in opponent process theory, the signals from the cones are fed into neurons that mathematically compare the inputs, that is, red minus green, black minus white, and blue minus yellow, so to send a clear signal to the brain. You can try it yourself. You can find a bright green object or a green square on your screen. Stare fixedly at the center for 30 to 60 seconds. Do not move your eyes. Immediately switch your gaze to a blank white sheet of a paper or wall. You will see faint red square. That means what you need to understand is the opposing pair. So red, it's green, blue, it's yellow, and if it's black, it's white. So you can try yourself and make sure this opponent process theory is correct or not by yourself. Thank you so much. If you want to know more about this theory, you can go through this following links. Thank you so much. If you like this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you again.